paper magic will survive like the heat death of the universe, and will...
Oh, it's a smuggler's copter. Would you like to crew this? And then it crashes because they don't understand arithmetic.
All your cards belong to me.
2 minutes into macing him in the eyeballs, I switched to pepper spray. He's like, yeah, it's all right, refreshing. And went back to the mace.
Magic is dying. I'm done. Selling everything.
I might be a hoarder. And yes,
I don't have the crayons or glue to explain this to you right now.
What, are you gonna die twice?
Oil will be worthless before magic cards will.
Well, okay, Dr. Man.
That's Mr. Dr. Professor Jason.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Brainstorm
hey,
Brewery.
What if we did a third take?
A third take? All right, everybody.
This
For
time, I'll be
coverage.
recording.
Okay, yep, for coverage. For
You're not recording,
coverage,
DJ?
here we go.
Perfect, we're doing it.
I'm just gonna say I'll hit the button.
All right.
I'm not gonna say which button. There's a lot of buttons that we have to hit to go.
Stop saying button. You say button weird.
My
I
button.
think I say everything weird.
You
My
do.
button.
You're like, my button. There's no T in button. It's BU''ON. My
Button.
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 Button. Like
And-
that. Button.
And welcome in, everybody, to Brainstorm Brewery.
Brrrr.
Okay, Corbin, can we not do that bit out of all the bits that you do? I hate forced stuff like that. Like it has to be smooth. That's all I'm gonna say. It has to. You can't be like Brainstorm Brewery. Like that's not a good.
You're getting comedy notes from the third funniest guy in this cast, and that's funny to me.
Corbin's
Welcome into the show,
Corbin's
everybody.
Expert on everything.
We are here to talk about Kamigawa, maybe a little magic finance, maybe a little bit about, DJ sounds a little cranky, but to be fair, his knee is broken and torn and ripped to shreds, and yet they're making him walk on it. How goes the rehab, DJ?
They tried to make him do his rehab, and he said no.
Yeah, worked out for
That's
Amy
probably a
Winehouse.
pop culture reference, but
15.
I am learning how to walk again, and I still have to go through surgery, after which I will have to learn how to walk again, which is somewhat disheartening, but it's all right.
Okay,
What do you mean walk again? Have you had to learn how to walk again before?
This right now, like this is the second time I'm learning how to walk again.
Yeah, what was the first time you had to learn how to walk again? You said this is the second time you learned how to walk again.
Look, let's ignore Jason's
Pedantics.
I'm not being...
Jason, I have a proposal for you.
Okay, let's hear it.
I would like to make a wager with you.
Okay.
We're gonna have to figure out what we're wagering. However,
Spicy
this is what I
peanuts.
propose to you.
Spicy peanut bet.
Who walks first?
Between your two kids?
My 6-month-old or DJ?
DJ?
I'm talking post-surgery,
I understand.
rehab.
I understand. You think you're going to do a Rocky training montage with your 6-month-old? You're going to ignore him like you always do. So I'm pretty confident.
Bro, the kid's a little bouncer. He's got the leg strength. He bounces in his little play thing all the time. He loves it. So he's working on that leg strength so that he can get on the walking to beat DJ.
Does he crawl yet?
He kind of like scoots himself around, sort of.
Yeah. I'm going to say DJ, and I will bet spicy peanuts on it.
I don't know the timeline on an ACL thing, so I don't know how this is going to work.
Define walk. Like, is DJ rock climbing again? Or is he just
He's parkouring again.
taking painful tentative steps?
He's doing the thing that he did that injured him. So, like, will he be...
So, until
strength.
DJ's 100%?
Will he be 100% before my 6-month-old is at walking and climbing and legging? Just having working legs, you know?
Well, no, you keep moving the goalposts around.
Well,
I was gonna
I mean-
say there's so many different goalposts there, Corbin.
Well, there's so many pieces of your knee. I don't know what...
I'm not going to weigh in further than this. This is all I'll say on the matter, but I was told there are different points at which I will do parkour. There are different points at which I will be climbing, etc. So it's not all just. It's not like I'll wake up one day and be able to do all of the.
All right,
things.
we will revisit. However, as it currently stands, my
We've
son.
already
is
spent
racing
more
DJ.
time talking about my leg than I want to. So you've already got me beat there.
Successfully derailed. Anyway, speaking of Kamigawa, how about that new set?
That was really rough, dude.
I heard the
It's
ligaments of this
it's an
podcast
art
pop
form.
in sequence.
In art form, okay.
So this is a set with Bosaiju, which is one of the best lands they've ever printed. Hidetsugu, which is one of the rarest yellow bordered cards they've ever printed.
I think the red
Um,
one's the insane one.
Okay. Kadama of the West Tree, which is pretty bonkers. We have a cycle of legendary dragons. We have Jin Gitaxias, which counters their spells and doubles yours. We have a 5-color legendary spirit dragon that is the next 5-color dragon, because we haven't had one of those in 6 months.
Yep.
We have a jellyfish that turns into a computer chip.
Sure.
We have Seb McKinnon's farewell art.
Maybe.
Goodbye, Seb McKinnon.
This set's
Standing
got
up
quite a
for
few.
what
By
you
the way,
believe in. Seb McKinnon found out that they were doing QR codes on the booster pack wrapper, and he's just out.
He was out. He was out.
Here are QR codes. He's like, I'm afraid.
I'm pretty sure that this set also, by the way, has a secret popper breaker, Moon Circuit Hacker, the Ninjutsu 2-1, that allows you
You mean Ninja Deep Hours 4 through 8?
basically, well, 5 through 8, yes, but
What did I say? 4 through 8? Why would
yeah.
you? Yeah, you should run 5.
you should
copies
maybe
of the
not
new
do
one.
that. Yeah,
You should run
Anyways,
5 copies. It's that good. You should.
This card is going to be very,
Take a
very
risk.
good in popper, and that'll matter now that we have a
Popper Advisory
Yeah.
Group, the PAG.
Yeah, that.
I bet. I bet it's not the PAG.
No,
This set is kind of. I ordered collector booster boxes. I'm not gonna say how many, but it was a lot. I haven't ordered this much product since Strixhaven. The set's
Wow.
busted. I
That
love it.
That's pretty fun.
It's got
a lot of words on it.
cyber ninjas on laser motorcycles. Right? Like I thought this was just going to be like Snow Crash. It's also Akira. And who doesn't love Akira? Right? It's guys on motorcycles until one of them's like, "Hey, I'm actually a monster the size of a stadium." And his buds are like, "That's cool. I accept you, bro, but I will murder you." And it's a good family story, and I think immortalizing that in Magic is good. I think it's good that the snakes look more like turtles. That's a positive step for getting Ninja Turtle cards. It's all good, man. I'm really super into this set.
Yeah, I think it looks pretty fun. I believe that it was official. This is the wordiest set in all time, as it turns out. Thanks to
Is
Dr.
that, like-
Dr. Frank Harston.
Okay. I was just gonna ask if there was math behind that, and then you said Frank Karsten. And
Frankie Numbers came up with this one. He says it is official that Kamigawa Neon Dynasty is the wordiest Magic expansion set of all time. I saw some draft advice if you're hoping to draft on Arena. Spend some time studying the spoiler first, because you're going to take some time to read all those paragraphs.
Is that
when you
because
draft.
like reconfigure is just like a paragraph on every common, or
Speaking of reconfigure, can we talk about Swift Reconfiguration?
We can. What's
It's
it do?
a card from the EDH decks. It has flash for 1 white mana. You enchant a creature or a vehicle, and that permanent becomes a vehicle with crew 5, and it loses all of its other types.
Oh, yeah,
people are
my
calling
devoted
this
druid.
Swords
Yeah.
to ride shares. They're saying this goes off a devoted druid.
Swords to ride shares is good. I like that.
Like, you literally turn something into a car. How
Yeah, you do.
disrespectful.
You do.
It's like,
Yeah.
you're a car. Cool, can I go do Transformer shit? No, you sit there until 5 people get inside of you and drive you around. That's crazy.
But for those who don't know,
you wouldn't download a tier 1 draft uncommon.
Yeah,
This is a
devoted
rare-
druid. When you turn
Whatever.
a devoted druid into this vehicle, it still has the ability to tap for green mana and put a -1 counter on it to untap. But
Oh, but
since
it's not a
it's not a
creature
creature, the -1 counters will never kill it,
Don't
and
matter.
and because it's not a creature, summoning sickness no longer applies. So it's basically you could do this all in one turn for 3 mana, infinite mana. But this is the Swift Reconfiguration is in the commander set, right, Jason?
It is. It's not a draft uncommon for lots of reasons.
Yeah, only going to be a legacy legal combo there, not a modern legal combo.
I don't know.
One more note, by the way, while I have this up. In case you were curious what other sets in Magic history were there for the most wordiest, I will tell you that one of the most popular examples of the most complicated Magic sets ever, Future Sight, is in the top 5.
Yeah.
It comes in at number 5.
Is Ice Age one?
Ice Age is not in the top 8, no.
You would think it would be one of the original sets back
Right,
when
not in
all
the
the
top
text
10.
was written by lawyers.
Yeah, Ice Age is not there.
When weakness wasn't like target creature gets -2/-1.
Any other guesses
Enchanted
for what's in
creature
the top
has
5
a
or 10?
reduction of 2 to its power and 1 to its toughness. Ergo, a 3/3 creature would actually be a 1/2 after weakness is applied. Forthwith, that creature is referred to as weak. And it's just like, dude, and then the templating and revises like,
Yeah.
enchanted creature gets -2/-1.
Yeah. What else do you think might crack the top 5 or top 10?
I'm trying to think if like weird
Scourge.
Because like,
Scourge. Nope.
does Innistrad count like both faces?
Yeah, probably.
Then
This is the average Oracle text length front sides only.
Okay.
And then it has one for both sides as well. So we have both numbers to look at. But this is front side only is the chart we're using. Because yeah, DFCs are kind of unfair, right? So
Oh, you know what? I bet AFR has a ton of because it had all the modular cards.
AFR is number 3.
Oh yeah, because like not even a reminder text, like the flavor text of the rule is like you either walk into the dungeon or you feed a goblin some chocolate or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah,
It's like that.
yeah.
That's 95 words right there.
Yeah, and some of those card names are pretty long too. You know, you come to the villain's lair. Right, that's a pretty long card name for a generic bounce spell or whatever it is.
Time spiral.
I if I had to guess, if like the super wordy sets like Alpha, I bet the top 5 is in the last 5 years.
Well, I will tell you. What did you say, DJ?
Time spiral.
Time Spiral is not on here. I'll just read the list.
Future Sight, but not Time Spiral?
Yep, I'm gonna read 1 through 10 for you.
Okay.
Number 1, Kamigawa. Actually, we'll go the other way here.
I was gonna say, who
that
starts a
right.
list with top 10 songs
Well,
of
we-
this
well, we already-
decade?
we led with
500
number
goddamn
one.
episodes of this podcast and a
We
journalism
led-
degree, and you can't
Look,
even.
Come on, we led with number 1 already because we said it. Look, all right. Number 10,
10.
Theros, Beyond Death. Number 9, Morning Tide.
Morning Tide. Of all the. Okay.
It had all kinds of static abilities.
There was a lot of
or
kinship at the
activated
beginning of your upkeep.
abilities. Yeah. Number 8, Cold Snap.
Cumulative upkeep. Okay, so I was close with Ice Age.
Yeah. Number 7, Planar Chaos.
I was off by 1 set.
So 2 from the Time Spiral block.
Right, but not Time Spiral.
Plus Cold Stomp, which came out in that era.
it did.
Like
yeah.
Cold Snap came in Time Spiral block.
And now this is
Wait,
where
wait, Corbin.
Yeah.
My fun trivia about Cold Snap that I learned from Gavin Verhey. Cold Snap took 6 weeks to develop from start to finish.
Holy What?
Yeah,
There
they
was some-
developed Cold Snap in 6 weeks from
There-
start to finish.
There were good designs in that set. There's good stuff, man.
And the best way you can tell is that like every card is a cycle, right? Like they came up with a good design, they're like, great, make 4 more.
Make 4 more. Yeah. No,
Yep.
but look at that. Braid of Fire, Hibernation's End. Those are both really cool designs. They
Dark
were in that
Depths is a
set.
cool design. Like that conceptually, that's like chipping at the ice.
The Ripple artifact.
Yeah, no,
Thrumming
look-
Stone was cool.
Well,
Thermopod,
Ripple is probably one of the reasons. It's
Allosaurus Riders. There was good design. What is Panglacial Worm? Isn't there a card you can cast from your library if
Yes.
you see it while you're shuffling?
only from your library or something. Yes. Yeah, it was a cool set. I wasn't playing then. That was right before I
6
started playing,
weeks,
but it's got some
Jesus.
cool stuff.
They got no
oh,
excuse when they take 3 years to put out a bad set. Then Cold Snap wasn't memorable, but like it wasn't meant to be. It was there to finish the cycle, so they felt good about it.
Well,
And then here's Oran Viper to up standard for a whole year. It was amazing.
yeah, think about your ice sets that we've had, right? Ice Age, Cold Snap, and Kaldheim. And Kaldheim.
Wait, Corbin. Corbin, you forgot the other one that broke
Modern
formats.
Horizons or
You
whatever.
forgot
Horizons
Alliances. Alliances was a cold set.
Sure. Play back then. Okay, number 6, Innistrad, Crimson Vow. Number 5, Future Sight. Number 4, Innistrad, Midnight Hunt. Number 3, Adventures in the Forgotten Realms. Number 2, Kaldheim.
Wow.
Number 1,
Okay, so it
Kamigawa
was
Neon Dynasty.
it was all recent. Huh.
The top 4 are from the past 12 months. And 5 of the top 10 are from 2021 or 2022.
You know what the wordiest set is? It's the secret layer that has the basic lands.
So, anyways, that was fun. Thank you. Shout out to Frank, who is one of my favorite people in the world, and I haven't got to see since
I
since
think
the pandemic. So
I think it's
thank you,
gross
Frank, for
to
the
shout
shout-out.
out more famous people than you. Right? I think that's all people do on Twitter. That's just clout chasing. You just
Well-
want Frank Carson to think that you're cool because you like him. He's like, oh, that guy likes me. He has good taste. Don't do that,
No,
man.
Corbin,
You
as
shout
long
out
as you...
small.
Frank and I have shared some experiences across the world.
Corbin, as long
I
as
think
you
we're
address...
okay.
Corbin, as long
Yes.
as you address him as leaderboard holder for Chandelar speedruns...
Listen,
yeah. I prefer to just call him Frankie Numbers. Shout out to Riley Knight for that nickname. How's that, Jason?
that was gross. Preliminarily, we have some data.
I like Data.
So,
It's my favorite Star Trek character.
really? Your
Shut
favorite
up.
character from all the Star Treks?
He's fun.
I don't believe you.
I do like some characters on Voyager.
I would have to have seen Voyager. Of the 32 legal commanders, we have decks for quite a few of them. Right now it's organized by basically how long it's been spoiled, because
Mhm.
number 1 and number 3 most built are the oldest, the ones we've known about the longest. But number 2, Tatsunari Toad Rider, really shot up in the last week. A lot of people are building Tatsunari Toad Rider decks.
Everyone likes the Toad Rider.
So you are Sultai Enchantment Fall, which is awesome, but also you're kind of Toad tribal.
So what is this card? What does this Toad card do, Jason?
Well, okay, real briefly, I don't want to read all the text, but when you cast enchantment, you make a 3/3 frog that deals them a damage when you play an enchantment. If
Okay.
you don't have the frog already, you don't make a million frogs.
Right,
you just-
Sure.
And then you can make Tatsunari and target frog unblockable, except by creatures with flying and reach. So he's running on the back of a giant toad. The toad jumps, he's on the back, and then it fights, I guess, a giant snake over the course of 4 episodes, I'm assuming. I don't really remember early Naruto, but I'm pretty sure that's how it works. And then you have access to blue, green, and black in an enchantment-based deck, and it's very exciting. Everybody's super into it. It's like a frog tribal enchantments hybrid deck, which is great because there aren't enough frogs, and we know this because people tried to build Grolnok, and they're like, wow, there aren't enough frogs, are there? Now you have access to the black frogs in Magic that you didn't have access to when you built Grolnok, which gives you access to the Gitrog monster, and...
You know, all
Yargle?
those other frogs.
Yargle. Yargle's a frog. That's a black frog. You didn't have access to Yargle before, so that's new.
Thing's got a lot of power.
And I think that's it. So if you want to jam all the maximum number of frogs in this deck, you can play your Haze Frog and your Croconura, right? But I think a lot of people are just going to jam a bunch of enchantments in this deck because playing enchantments and draining them is very cool and very fun. And anything that reduces the cost of enchantments like Cloud Key or what was that? Semblance Amble? I think all that stuff is potentially in play. But there are some new cards too that have to get sorted out. But I think the fact that Tatsunari is built more than Hitotsugu, which has been out longer, means that people are a little bit more excited about it. Number one, obviously, Umezawa. It's a ninja deck, but not just a ninja deck. It gives giant non-ninja things ninjutsu. So you're like, man, my Void Winnower is a ninja for 4 mana. That's very exciting. Unblockable stuff is in play. Really huge, hard to cast stuff that is cheap to Nujitsu into play is in play. I love stuff like It That Betrays and Ulamog the Infinite Gyre and just really unfair stuff. But honestly, it's anything 6 mana or more is efficient to use this ability. So even stuff like Agent of Treachery, Diluvian Primordial, and Rexial, stuff like that actually doesn't suck in this deck. So, ninjas. But it's ninjas plus big stuff, and I think that's cool. Tatsunari isn't just frogs, it's frogs plus Enchantment Fall. Hitotsugu isn't just a kind of a bad deck, it's also a very expensive chase card. So, everything's kind of doing double duty. I like Tameshi Reality Architect, the Moon Folk, where you return a land to its owner's hand and you can return an artifact or enchantment with mana value X, where X is the mana you paid to activate it.
Mm-hmm.
It goes from the graveyard to the battlefield, not to your hand. Plus, it's got a static ability that whenever a non-creature permanent's returned to your hand, you draw a card. They've started putting this ability triggers once each turn.
Yep.
On some fairly mundane abilities. I think in the future, we may see that get pushed a little bit because Omnath's ability of deal 4 to everybody is not that mundane. I think that's pretty good. And if that triggered more than once a turn, that would be a way to kill somebody. And that's why I do that in EDH. I bounce it back to my hand and do the stuff again. So if you're bouncing Tameshi, that could be pretty sweet. So you can draw a card a bunch. That sounds like a lot of work to draw cards. But what's not a lot of work is building a pretty decent deck around Tameshi. Everybody's kind of doing some of the Patron of the Moon, Retreat to Coralhelm shenanigans, but also like you're just a cheap artifact deck that you keep bringing back type of stuff. So you run stuff like Soul Snare, but you could also get mileage out of stuff like Expedition Map, So you're actually, you're going to get quite a bit of value. And then like milling stuff with Emery, stuff like that. That's a good way to build that deck. So it's kind of funny. Right now we're like at 500 decks for Umezawa, 100 for Tatsunari, under 100 for Hitotsugu, and like 50 for Tameshi, and everything else it's like under 40. So the stuff isn't, the decks are trickling in, but anytime something surprises me the way Tatsunari surprised me, I pay attention. So even though stuff like Atsushi, the Blazing Sky, has been revealed forever, we're still seeing some decks that are getting built 5 times as much just because it marries 2 half strategies that didn't quite have the card pool to put a whole deck together before. And I'm into it. What do you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty cool. And we have to, for anyone who's curious, we're recording this on February 7th. The set doesn't release in paper until February 18th. So in terms of people putting decks together, right now it's all entirely theory crafting, and it'll be, another month before we really see what people do when they get their hands on the cards.
As a finance person, I prefer theory crafting to the whole, here's what I actually built, for one reason, at a time like this. Because people who are theory crafting are not limited by their budget. Or not their budget even, their physical collection. I have cards that I have earmarked, 4 decks I haven't built yet because I do not own the legendary creatures. I'm going to build a Tatsunari deck. And I might build a Tameshi Reality Architect. You know, and I'm probably going to build some sort of 5-color Honden deck too. Hinata looks cool, but I'm not going to not put a card in my Hinata list on Archidect just because I don't own it. I will buy it later. So anytime I signal that like, hey, I want this in a Hinata deck, but I don't own it, because who owns Distortion Wake, right? It's a bulk rare. If you don't have it, you don't have it, right? Mm-hmm. So the only people who are committing their physical copy of Distortion Wake to their deck and like registering it online are the ones that don't have to buy it. But everybody else who sees Hinata is like, oh shit, everything with Strive in red, white, and blue is in play. Anything with multiple targets. You can cast Magma Opus for 2 mana. All of a sudden you start brewing. I have to buy every card for Hinata because I have Distortion Wakes in bulk. I'm not going to dig through bulk rares. I'm going to pay 25 cents when I'm buying my copy of Comet.
That's certainly what I do.
So anybody who's theory crafting right now, as much as people are like, yeah, that's just theoretical, they are announcing their intention to buy a card. And when one person announces their intention to buy a card, fine. But when 87% of the people who build a deck announce their intention to buy a card, the card could be in play. You know, if a lot of people have it, great. But anytime a card gets played a lot in a new deck, whether or not a lot of people own copies of that card doesn't seem to matter. The price goes up. So I kind of like people saying, if money's no object, here's the ideal deck I would build. You start to look at what's desirable. And a thing I've done actually is I've used a list comparison tool, and I've taken every average deck list from all these commanders and seen what shows up in, you know, somewhat unrelated decks, because Tatsunari is not built at all like something like Kyodai Soul Kamigawa, which is a white dragon with a 5-color identity, but they'll probably both play Culling Ritual. And if you notice a ton of people are playing Culling Ritual and it's $5, you're like, Strixhaven's not really being opened anymore. I think some of that really busted stuff could be in play.
Well, Strixhaven's got some pretty sweet uncommons too.
Strixhaven is that was the last set where I bought cases of collector boosters, and I'm doing that for the set. This set's nuts, but Strixhaven was nuts too, and I feel like it got overshadowed slightly. So, I think stuff that gets played across the decks, even if the decks are dissimilar, you're going to notice some staples popping up. And while you don't need anybody's help to identify staples from EDH, staples from recent sets are a little bit trickier, and people have a tendency to not notice. You know, I don't think anyone knows how many decks Moonsilver Key is in, for example. I'm still seeing those in bulk. So pay attention to all the decks, but pay attention to the most popular ones, because those are the ones that are week one going to have people going to you know, a site where they buy cards and the cards are sold out, and then they have to go to TCG Player. TCG Player sells out, then the prices change forever. So once people have no choice but to buy from TCG Player, that's kind of when the price starts to move. So I think what people say they're building is very valuable right now, and everyday EDH rec scrapes more deck lists and has more data. So I would check back every day personally.
Yeah, it's there's a lot going on with this.
Everything I said is inaccurate because, you know, this is Monday and you're listening on the Wednesday or Thursday or Friday. So everything I said's wrong, but I guess comparing what I'm saying to what you're seeing is valuable too.
Well, they're listening on Friday if they're listening at youtube.com/Brainstorm Brewery. But if you are a patron who went to patreon.com/BSB, you could be listening to this as early as what? Who knows? Maybe Tuesday night. JJ gets it out pretty quick to the patrons. I know that. So if you're interested in supporting the cast, as Jason would say, for as little as 20 or 25 cents an episode, you can do so at patreon.com/BSB. All right, well, we've got Kamigawa coming up over the next few weeks. Well, like Jason said, we'll keep checking back on Commander and see what happens. But now it's time for the game that I have yet to lose in 2022. Breaking Bulk.
The game we're gonna play is me going on my rant, not Breaking Bulk. Not even a rant, really. Like, so you had Jason's like EDH deck building 101, and then you had like the ad intermission break, and now you're gonna come into like DJ's like, I guess, long-term spec theory 102. I don't know. But so I want to talk about one specific card from a core set 2 years ago, and that card is Sanctum of All. Sanctum of All, for those competitive hyper gamers out there, is a 5-mana legendary enchantment dash shrine, and then it's got a lot of other words on it that you probably don't care about. This card was true bulk over the past 2 years during the entire pandemic, and now it's $4.
Yep.
And you can very rapidly sell them on TCG Player for $3.99. And then if you're a extra special hyper aware gamer, you will also have individual Hondens listed from Champions of Kamigawa bulk that you will move lots of over the past and future next few weeks. Sanctum of All was printed at a time when Kamigawa Neon Dynasty was just a very obscure leak, I think, on a URL. I don't even know if it was unofficially leaked. It might have been printed even before then. But regardless of whether or not you had official and or unofficial data on Kamigawa returning, Sanctum of All is what I like to refer to as a seeded card. It is a card that Wizards prints while knowing where they are headed in the future, regardless if they have announced where we're headed. We probably heard about Innistrad, we probably heard about Kaldheim when this card was printed, but like they print cards for a reason. Every card is in a set for a reason. Not all of them are for immediate, instant usage. Sometimes they will print cards while knowing what planes we are going to. And those cards are very, very, very cheap for a very long time. And then they spike when people suddenly realize that there are new synergies to be had with those cards.
Or they're Splinter Frights.
But Splinter Fright isn't like a seeded card. It's not something that references something else, right? It's not like a...
It was just a seed for a set mechanic. Same concept, different application. This is the much more... This is the much better version of that, is shrines or something like Dragon Tempest, that sort of thing.
Well, like an example of a seeded card in Innistrad would be like something that references multicolor. Like if there was a card in Innistrad that was like multicolored creatures, like tap, destroy a multicolored creature, and you're like, Innistrad has one of those, and it's named Olivia Valderin or something like that. But like knowing that the next block is Return to Ravnica, that gives you more information and more data to work with.
Right.
I think Ash Zealot was an example of like a sort of a backward seeded card where like they printed something in Return to Ravnica to deal with Innistrad's graveyard stuff. And a lot of the time those cards end up coming too late, or like they're lower power levels, so they can't actually impact the format. What was that? Like Hex Parasite was designed to deal with Jason the Mind Sculptor. That was a very poorly like ship it, and then it ended up like not doing anything and not mattering. But Sanctum of All is like a very good example of a card that you can read it and then sort of make inferences about what sets or blocks or mechanics that we are coming up with. Liliana's Contract is another really good example of this, where like that card was printed in a core set a few years ago, but there was still likely like a vision board at WotC, like a white board with a bunch of Sharpies on it that said like new Capenna demons ? Big circles. And so like that card has a very low buy-in and a very high casual opportunity to just spike even if there's not demons in the set. And then it's the opportunity cost is very low because you're paying like 50 cents or $1 per penny stock, and then you get in. And it either A, goes up because it's a super casual card that will go up anyway, or B, they print a bunch of Hondens and then Sanctum of All goes to $4. So, like, you have multiple opportunities to win and, like, one opportunity to get wrecked, which is a reprint, which is unlikely, especially in a weird situation like Sanctum of All.
Yeah, I think Sanctum of All is one of those that, honestly, it's just kind of those slam dunk picks where you don't know when it's going to happen, but you know it's going to happen. I mentioned Dragon Tempest earlier. I know that's one that we talked about on this cast when it was reprinted and was super cheap for the exact same reasons. And then now that's like a $5 card. So there you go. Great point.
So like what was Dragon Tempest in originally? It was in
Dragons of Tarkir, right? And then
right. I wouldn't consider that a seeded card. The card's name is Dragon Tempest, and it was in a set named Dragons of Tarkir.
Dragons in Dragon set? It's more likely than you think. Remember we called that set Dragon's Maze of Tarkir? That felt good. Until all the Elder Dragons popped and we look stupid. Good times. Is this why
Like,
we don't want to do a set review?
Like, I'm specifically referring to cards that don't make sense in their current set or context, but like,
Yes, I understand. Yeah, I was simply talking about the idea of sometimes you can just look at a card and say, I don't know when the thing is going to happen with this bulk rare, but when it does, it's going to happen. So like with Sanctum of All, you're like, I don't know when they're going to do shrines again, but when they do, this is going to happen. And Dragon Tempest was that was the example I went to.
Sanctum of All is a hint that they will do shrines again soon.
That's also true. Yeah.
Like, it's more of like a, hey, this is probably coming soon. Not like, oh, I don't know, we just printed this for the hell of it.
Yeah. Yep. Very good points.
And like Yuriko, if you think about the timeline, Yuriko is printed in C18, and like the positive response to Yuriko may have influenced the design and timeline of Neo Dynasty. It might not have, because when you think about the grandiose Magic timeline, this is another sort of thing where you can use lore to influence like what mechanics or sets or things like that come out. The original Nico Bolas storyline, where like Nico Bolas had this grand Master War of the Spark plan, and it was sort of hinted at all throughout Kaladesh, where it's like, oh, Kaladesh happened and Tezzeret's there and he's making the Artifice Bridge, and yeah, you can like, oh, this is all nerd stuff, this doesn't matter, but like you can use that to infer what mechanics and sets will come out in the future, and like you can think about like, okay, his big plan is going to end up on Ravnica. That makes sense. So like Kaladesh all throughout War of the Spark was planned in advance by Wizards. Like Kaladesh was 2016, so they had everything through 2019 planned out. And we're having another start of that grandiose timeline thing with Phyrexian. Like, Phyrexian started on Kaldheim with Vorinclex, and now we're getting a bit more Jin-Gitaxias, and we're going to get more and more Phyrexian stuff to the point where it's going to be like this big, huge War of the Spark-esque battle against Phyrexian. So, like, look at new Phyrexian cards. Look at stuff like Rage Extractor. Look at stuff that works with Phyrexian mana. Look at stuff like Infect. Look at Viral Drake. Look at these kinds of cards. Even though there's only small snippets and hints of this kind of storyline archetype or game mechanic.
Breaking bulk time. Breaking bulk time. Break.
Oh, yeah, breaking bulk. There's so much good stuff.
It's a pick. Breaking bulk. The end.
All right, it is time for Breaking Bulk, and Jason was talking trash before the cast, said he had a very good one. So I guess like on that note, Jason, why don't you go ahead and start?
I didn't say I had a
off?
very good one. I said you're an idiot and you're bad at this game. And you bring shame to your family. Is that what you meant by talking shit?
Jason had a very good Breaking Bulk last week, so my expectations are set appropriately.
All right.
Invasion, green common.
Is Bind common in that set?
Bind is uncommon.
It was okay. It's might be uncommon, or it might be common on Magic Online. Invasion
Tangle.
green common. Is silence acknowledgement of?
Acknowledgement of what? You just repeated what I already said.
Corbin said Tangle.
Oh, it's not Tangle. Tangle is uncommon.
Yeah, Tangle is another thing where I think Bind might be rare and Tangle is the Pauper one. Because Tangle's legal in Pauper because of
Tangle's the
MTGO.
fog and Bind is the counterspell.
Yeah, okay.
That's why I was thinking.
common.
Pauper is what I was thinking of there. That's why I knew that one.
Did you guess again, DJ? You're talking.
No,
over each other.
I'm still thinking.
Yeah, you're
Invasion
still
green
thinking.
common.
Yeah, you're still thinking.
Fertile Ground?
60 cents retail. Fertile Ground might be that much money, but it's not my pick. And Fertile Ground has lots of printings.
Yeah.
I think the Saga one is the most. The Urza's Gears, Corbin. The Saga
That's
one.
the
I
one.
think
Yeah.
is the most desirable. I don't know anybody who likes the invasion art of any card more than.
Invasion basics are very good.
True.
Yeah.
I don't
There's
know
some
what this
cool
card
cards
is.
in
so-
Invasion.
I don't know. It might be an aha moment when you say it, but I give up.
Whip Silk. Enchanted creature can block as though it had flying, and you pay green to return Whip Silk to its owner's hand.
Okay.
People are crazy. They're cuckoo for Whip Silk, Shimmer Wings.
This is like a flickering ward.
Yeah, they're doing flickering ward stuff.
This is a new pick, and it's not one I knew about.
If if they play if they have a frog out that drains them when you play enchantment, you can just pay 2 green mana to deal a damage to everybody, which is
This is also just like 2 green mana to draw a card or draw X cards or like.
Yeah.
It's just
Meanwhile,
Enchantress
Flickering
Engine.
Ward, which was, bulk before, is like $10 now.
I like it. I did not know this one. This is new.
And hey, pull Flickering Ward out of your bulk, because if you have Tempest bulk, you got Flickering Ward in there.
Okay. I've got a recent one. Shocker. And Adventures in the Forgotten Realms, white uncommon.
Portable hole.
Nope.
Really? I expected it to be Portable Hull. An AFR white uncommon?
Yep.
What type of card is it? Oh. So it's a class then.
Nope. Cleric class is a pick, but that is not this card.
Is it the Aura equipment one? It's like ETB get artifacts or
Yeah. So Ingenious Smith. It's a 2-mana 1/1. When it is battlefield, look at the top 4. You put an artifact among them into your hand. Whenever one or more artifacts in the battlefield under your control, put a 1/1 counter on it. It triggers once each turn. This is getting played in a variety of formats as it does things you want to do in artifact decks or equipment decks or affinity decks or any of that sort of stuff.
One thing about recent design choices that Wizards has made that it's kind of amusing. It's not necessarily like game breaking or just like a heresy of design or anything like that. But I do like to notice that when they find like a new thing to do with card design, they just run with it super hard.
Yeah, they do.
And like this ability triggers once per turn is like such a thing that every card game has just done forever. But it's like Wizards just found out about it last year and they need to put it on every card. Which like balance wise is fine. It's a nice, healthy thing to do. I assume that they've considered it in the past, but chose not to do it because of like memory issues or like, players won't be able to remember whether or not the card triggered earlier this turn or something like that. And it's more related to digital being more integrated into the design philosophy. But like, it's just something that was so absent from Magic prior to 2019 or 2020, and now it's everywhere of like, this ability triggers once per turn. Draw a card, this ability triggers once per turn. It's like, it's just very evident. And
they made a choice. Yeah, they made it. It's you clearly at some point in time there they made a choice that this was a better design to have things trigger once each turn, right? And therefore things started getting formatted that way. Yeah,
right.
I mean that's
you could have worded this as like
Magic.
Yeah, you could have worded this as like whenever one or more artifacts are on the battlefield under your control, you may pay 1. If you do, put a counter on this card, and it's not limited. Then you're mana gated.
Yeah.
It's free, but you get 1 per turn.
Well, another example is the impulse draw effects or whatever you call them in red.
Oh, when they finally figured out
you're light up the stage. Yeah, and you're light up the stage type cards, right? They've just printed more and more and more cards like that. Just push it super super hard, because that's sort of where that color has gone as a direction. Which is, I mean, in a sense, it's cool. It's the game evolving, 30 years in. From a design perspective, right? I think what they've done with the designs over the past few years has been from a design perspective for the level of innovation they've put into a game that's pushing 30 years is amazing.
It is, and on the other hand, sometimes they're like, let's make Omnath.
The balance of those designs has been sorely lacking. Omnath is bad. Like Luris is worse.
I mean,
Luris got nerfed and is still everywhere.
Forceability that also
Luris is worse.
Omnath does other stuff. Luris is everybody that says Luris is worse is because Luris is a 0 drawback inclusion in 2 formats.
Yeah, it's just an absurdly high percentage of modern, and it's sort of a thing where like the decks that Luris is in, no particular deck is oppressive, But at some point, 35% of your matches are Luris matchups, and it's just invalidating a huge number of cards because Luris is so powerful.
Oh, and because
Because you can't play any-
two mana permanents are like the most powerful thing you've always been able to do in Magic, right? Like 1 and 2 mana spells and permanents are like the best thing in Magic.
But there are 3-drops that would go back to being played if Luris was not a consideration, right? Like,
yeah, for sure.
Liliana the Veil deserves to be played in Magic.
I do like that Luris just like gets played in decks that it's like Mill can play Luris.
It's just
because it brings back your Hedron Crabs. Mill can play Luris.
Everything.
Bird can play it. Anything from Death Shadow to Mill.
Yeah, and then Blue White's playing Kahiras, right? Like, it's just...
Yeah, because they play 1 elemental in Solitude or whatever, yeah.
Companions were a mistake, as anything but, like, a limited choice, I think. But it's a really cool design, and I'd rather them do it and fail than not try it. And a lot of the cool stuff they've done over the last few years has really worked out well.
You know what's funny? Well, it's so funny to me is everyone's Luris this, Luris that. Lutri was banned at EDH before it was even
Free
the ink was
Lutri.
dry.
I would love to play that card.
Yeah, but everybody would like. There's no reason not to play that card if you're a blue-red deck.
Yep.
So it's a $25 tax on playing blue-red.
Yep.
You could make it like legal as commander, but not companion, maybe.
They're never going to bring
It's
back
just complicated,
legal
right?
and
Like,
banned as commander, which sucks because there are some perfectly fine cards that would be decent in the 99 that just are banned just because like they would be oppressive commanders.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's worth...
And there's some commanders that would...
Because there's 3 cards, yeah. It basically what? Grizzlebrand, the forest guy.
Not really convinced I want...
Well, Grizzlebrand's not a bad commander,
either.
but he's broken in the 99. Grizzlebrand is not a good commander.
I think Grizzlebrand's a very good commander.
There's
I'm sure
demons that are already out there where it's like you play this for 8 mana, then you get to draw your deck or whatever. There's a bunch of 7 mana demons that do that.
I've played against like a tuned Kozilek deck, the Great Distortion, and it's disgusting. So like I assume that if you did that concept with Grizzlebrand, it would be disgusting.
It's pretty good. But we'll never know because they're not going to bring back Banned as commander as much as I would like them to.
All right,
I guess Rofalos just dies for Grizzlebrand sins.
My breaking bulk is from.
Are we still doing breaking bulk?
Yeah, I didn't get to go yet.
It's been an hour, bro. All right.
My pick is from the once banned land of Shadowmoor.
Get out of here.
So the
Unless
reason we
not a
once
real
banned
card.
Shadowmoor in like, what was that, 2017, 2016?
Something like
The
that.
reason we once banned it was because there were so many cards that were just $8 and it was every card was free. This is a card that has gone down from its once heyday of Shadowmoor bulk. It is a multicolor uncommon from Shadowmoor, and it has a mystery booster printing if you want to count that, but
Plume of Veil.
nope.
Murderous Red. No, that was in a master set.
So yeah, this is a multicolor uncommon from Shadowmoor.
Are the multicolors a color and then also colorless hybrid?
No, it's not like
You
a
haven't
Beseech
told
the
us-
Queen kind of thing.
What's the rarity?
Uncommon.
Kitchen Finks.
Oh, he did say uncommon. Kitchen Finks has a lot more than one additional printing.
Correct. Yeah, this is a
Oh, I
card
see.
that
One
was
additional
only
printing.
It's going to be
Shadowmoor.
something like
Except for
Manamorph.
Mystery
What's
Booster.
that? What's that one
Oh.
red, one green hybrid card?
Guttural Response. Has
Guttural
that been-
Response.
Good guess, but no. I think that had a dual deck printing, but still a good guess.
Was it always the same rarity? Because Manamorphose got an upshift.
This card has just its uncommon printing and then mystery booster, and it used to be basically bulk. And
Is
then
it a
was-
creature?
It is a creature.
Is it a witch?
It's not a witch.
Is it Kolrath Knight?
It is Kolrath Knight.
Yeah!
Kolrath Knight used to be $3 back in
Well,
the heyday.
it used to be they were never going to have a decent red-black poison counter deck, and now they're doing... Or a -1/-1 counter deck, I mean. And now they're like, oh, what if we did Gen Color, finally?
Well,
So you can
Scorpion
have
God
your-
was also a big miss. Like, this card spiked when Scorpion God was printed, but that commander did not compare to Locust or Scarab. But Kolrath Knight has always been a pet card of mine. It's very powerful, sort of invisibly when it hits the field. It is, for those who don't know, it is a 5-mana 3/3 flying with Wither, which is the damage it deals is in -1/-1 counters form. It's red-black hybrid, and it says creatures your opponents control with counters cannot attack or block. It does not specify what kind of counters. They can be plus counters, they can be minus counters, they can be gold counters, they can be fool counters. I don't know what other there's all kinds of counters in Magic.
It's a weird red-black card, TBH.
Yeah, I mean, the original design of the card is obviously that, like, your opponent's weakened creatures by soul snuffers are no longer able to move. Yeah. But Magic's come a long way since 2007, and it turns out it just, like, bricks Skullbriar forever. And this card used to be $3 or $4, and it's gone down to like less than $1, which is crazy. I used to just see this and be like, bam, $3, bam, $3. Yeah. But it's very cheap now, and you probably won't see them often because you don't find Shadowmoor bulk often. If you do, these are probably picked out. But it's worth noting that they're very cheap now if you do find like Mystery Booster bulk.
Well, they have reprinted stuff enough that the most expensive uncommon in the set is Umbral Mantle, and that's under $10. So the
set also got power creeped a lot. There was a time when a lot of the uncommon creatures in Shadowmoor were picks just because they were good. Like Wiltleaf Cavaliers.
Oh, Kitchen Picks is like the best example. Kitchen Picks was $10 forever.
Yeah. But even like Wiltleaf Cavaliers and stuff was like a pick.
That's a rare. Wait, the Cavaliers? That was a pick? Crazy.
I remember picking those.
Well, like Steal the Godhead, Shield of the Oversoul. That whole
every
cycle
aura,
is solid
Favor
too.
Of the Being,
Yeah.
There's a dwindling list of Shadowmoor rares that finally get reprinted. Reese the Redeemed finally got cut down in Double Masters.
Reese needed it. Mana Reflection needed it.
Mm-hmm.
Greater Oromancy is one of the last holdouts. That is $70 for a Shadowmoor rare.
Wow.
Yeah.
Polluted Bonds is like mid-30s.
Well, didn't Greater Oromancy just get a Judge foil?
Yeah, but that doesn't mean anything. I mean, like, Judge foil. Like, did the Edgar Markov Judge foil budge the price of the original one? No.
You know what? I think the only Shadowmoor card that really, other than Greater Oromancy, that really needs a reprint hasn't gotten it is Prismatic Omen. That's above $20 also. But everything else in the set got pretty reasonable.
Prismatic Omen got Mystery Boosted.
That doesn't count. We should do a segment on like what actually happens to a card's price.
Wait, did Prismatic Booster Prismatic Omen didn't get Mystery Boosted? That's gotta be a Mandala effect, right? Other people have to believe that.
Scape Shift?
I was probably thinking of Bloom Tender. Like, I know Bloom Tender got a Mystery Booster reprint.
Yeah,
but
well, Bloom Tender.
We're just gonna let that go.
What did I
just?
The Mandala effect. We also want to talk about the premium features available at mtgstocks.com. This is something that has been available for the last month or so, and it continues to improve. So some of the new additions are penny stocks. You can see all of the cards below $5 that have been on upward trends over the past month. You can set up price alerts. You can set up inventory status. You can get results in your email. You can set up alerts to figure out what is going on with any product you want to track. And the improvements keep coming. There's been a bunch of bug fixes and a lot of improvements to the back end as well. So go to mtgstocks.com, check out the premium features there. We want to thank them as always for sponsoring this podcast. And this is the website we use for things like our picks of the week.
Pick of the week, pick of the week, pick of the week. Time for the pick of the week.
And that's why I'm coming in hot here with a recent-ish card, Commander Legends. The set has, I think, bottomed out and sort of been slowly coming up. And I think that actually probably
it was completely outclassed by Modern Horizons 2 also. Remember how excited we were about Commander Legends for like 4 months? Until a better Commander set came out the same year?
Yep. That said, I think the lands in Commander Legends are probably going to continue to do well. But I'm actually looking at Port Razor. It's a mythic from the set. It's a red mythic, 4/4 for 5. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, untap each creature you control. You get an additional combat. it can't attack a player if it has already attacked this turn. So this is an extra combat step attached to a creature, attached to a pirate, which is itself kind of relevant. And they're probably going to do orcs and I don't know, the Lord of the Rings set coming out next year, which could also make that
Everyone
creature
said
type
they were
relevant.
guaranteed to do orcs in the Dungeons and Dragons set. To be fair.
To be fair, yes, but it is very possible at some point that creature type becomes relevant as well. There's just a lot of different things going for this card that mean that at its $4 price, it's probably not really going lower than that, given it's a mythic extra combat step. And there's a couple of different buttons that could be pushed to cause this to really spike.
Button.
I can't do it. I give up. I concede.
I'm with you, Corbin. I say button like a normal person, but I'm trying to do the apostrophe pronunciation. Button. I can't do it. Button. Button. Is that it, Jason? Button.
Button.
So many people are listening to us right now and want to
listen. Semantic satiation counts as content. I'm okay if the main lesson people walking away from this get is to never hear a word the same way again. That's fine.
No one's walking away from this because they're driving off a bridge.
We don't advocate that.
All right, DJ, what do you have for your pick of the week?
My pick is an expensive one. It is Jeweled Lotus.
It is an expensive one.
It is. So I talk frequently about how Magic is a volume game and not a margins game. The name of the game is to buy and sell the same card over and over and over and over. I am not trying to pay somebody garbage for one card and then sell it to a premium for another person and make 150% profit. That's not what it's about. Surprisingly enough, some of the highest volume cards in Magic that are sold on TCG Player and my personal store through social media and whatnot, some of the highest volume cards are some of the highest priced cards for Commander. Like, you might expect, Farseeks or Cultivates or stuff like that to be my highest moving cards. Stuff like Jeweled Lotus and Dockside Extortionist and Mana Crypt are the 3 cards that I can't keep in stock. Ever. So my pick of the week this week was kind of between Dockside and Jeweled Lotus, and I'm just erring on the side of Jeweled Lotus because it's a colorless artifact that will just sell forever, and it's basically unbannable. This card can be got for $75, or if you buy it from me, I sell it for $70 via Twitter DMs. And I think it's going to creep up towards the big old 3-digit 100 number over the next several months or year. It could get a reprint. I don't think that they would do it in Commander Legends 2. I think they'll try to find some new flashy, cool design thing, eye-grabbing Mox kind of mythic. And this is just a card I think that will continue. Mana Crypt sells very well for me at $150. So no matter what somebody on Twitter with 2,000 followers and 100 likes on their tweet tells you, Magic cards continue to sell when they're expensive, and they sell very well. And as frustrating as that might be to reconcile, if you have the ability to either trade up into cards like these by manipulating your bulk very well and or playing the game that we all partake in, which is the secondary market, acquiring a Jeweled Lotus and those kinds of perennial staples now, I think is the smarter move to do so now rather than 6 months from now.
Well, I think you're right that it's going to get reprinted somewhere, but I also think you're right that it's going to be a lot more expensive before.
This is a card that gets a judge foil in a year.
Yeah.
And then people are not like that though. Like Edgar style, great.
Yeah, they don't really need to reprint this card. They want this to continue to be a flagship open this and make your money. Yeah, and it probably, maybe they put it into Commander Legends 2, but I'm with you. They don't really need it there. It's more likely to go into a different set.
I think
whenever
this card
it does
is
get reprinted.
stupid.
It's expensive, though.
I think it's a stupid card.
I hate it, too, for what it's worth.
I get why people play it, but it's just
I don't like it.
I like paying $100 on a card that's only good in your opener. Look at me.
Well, the three of us...
My dex is 7!
The three of us view this game from a very different perspective from the vast majority of people who buy cards from me. And I think the most common reason I mean, it's hard to break down like reasons people buy cards, but honestly, I would say like the largest percentile reason people buy cards for me is just like arms racing.
Yep, beat their friends.
That's the main reason people want to beat their friends. People.
That's why you don't make friends.
Good claps.
Friends
there's probably...
tell you that Skullstorm is
Get
oppressive.
Out of here. Get out of here.
You don't need friends. You don't need people like that holding you back.
There's probably a lot of like market psychology and other stuff behind like this, but people buy cards for arms race reasons to escalate their power level, and then somebody pulls the nuclear codes and then everyone resets back to pre-cons, then it starts all over again. It's a whole, like, eventually people accidentally themselves into CEDH, and then they're like, we're killing each other on turn 2. This isn't fun anymore. And then they sell all their cards to me and they start over.
Yeah, that is the life cycle.
So if you are at that, I might have just like talked you out of buying your Jeweled Lotus for this exact reason. But if you're buying it to play with and you're suddenly realizing that you're in that arms race, then maybe not buying a Jeweled Lotus is the correct play. If you realize
but counterpoint, DJ.
That end game.
Counterpoint, DJ. You could win the arms race.
That's true.
Yeah.
I love it that like a turn 6 deck costs $75 and a turn 5 deck costs 5,000. I love that about ADH.
I think that's true about like most things in terms of like marginally better upgrades become like exponentially more expensive when they become best in slot.
Yeah. All right, Jason, what do you got?
Draco.
What's a Draco? Malfoy?
Why you
Lair?
like this? No, not Draco Malfoy, Corbin, but Draco the Draco, the artifact creature that costs 16 mana. When a card's CMC matters a lot, Draco is your go-to. You know, Autochton Worm is cute, but Draco goes in red-black EDH decks. So people are actually...
There's the worm, the other worm, right? Also, the promo-only one. Remember that?
Yeah, there's
GRN
Autochton Worm, and then,
Impervious Great Worm, I think.
Yeah.
But
it costs like 11.
Yep,
but Draco is the OG. It's 1 mana more than Emrakul. Now, Draco is castable because if you have Dominion, it only costs 6 mana for a 9/9.
Wait.
Very cool.
If you have Dominion.
Yeah, Dominion. Is it Dominion or Domain?
Dominion over what?
Is it Dominion or Domain?
Dominion is a great game.
Well,
Dominion is a good game.
You can have Dominion over the Domain.
Okay. You can have Dominion also.
You know how long it's been since anybody cast a Tribal Flames in any format? Like, I can be forgiven for forgetting
a card that was modern relevant like 2 years ago. True.
2 years ago? Nobody played Modern 2 years ago.
Bro, that was so long ago.
That was so long ago.
People played Tribal Flames.
People haven't played Tribal Flames since they were casting Wild Nicatl in turn 1.
It's been a minute since people have played Tribal Flames, yeah.
So,
like, it's not irrelevant, but whatever.
If you have all the basic lands, Draco costs 6.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do you not play Collective Restraint in any of your EDH decks?
No.
Please cut all of this, JJ.
No, this is all good banter. Leave it in. Let them see.
Prismatic Geoscope has never been tapped.
Make it stop.
I don't own a Prismatic Geoscope. And if I did, I wouldn't read it. You think I read Magic cards that I already know? I'm like, that ability is called Dominion.
Oh, you know Draco real well.
I do know. I got Dracos. Do you have any fucking Dracos, or are you jealous idiot? Because the From the Vault Dragon Dracos are worth $15, and the foil Plane Shift ones are worth like 100. Are you jealous yet? Draco's not only good in Hitsugo, it's good in whatever. There's some modern deck where they're like, you play a spell and you flip up cards and you get the highest CMC. It's not Riddle with Lightning. It's a new card that's like some Strixhaven EDH deck exclusive rare that's like 50 cents. But people are doing that, I guess, in Legacy? I don't know. All I know is when CMC matters, Draco's your go-to and it's gettable under $2. And there are so few copies of that card floating around.
True. Right.
I really want to do a... What's the the sea serpent vampire, Runo Stromkirk.
Runo.
I really want to do a Runo Stromkirk deck, but not tribal vampires or tribal sea serpents. I want to do like weird CMC Matters stuff with like Azor's Gateway and Baleful Omen.
Yeah, but you'll never be able to talk to anybody about it.
Yeah, because you never play on the Wednesday night streams. That's right, at twitch.tv/Brainstorm Brewery. Every single Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we throw down. I invite 3 guests on. We play some Elder Dragon Highlander. There's laughter. There's tears. Somebody wins. 3 people lose. It's a very good time. Check us out, twitch.tv/Brainstorm Brewery. Like, subscribe, finger blast the bell icon so you get a notification every time I go on, which, again, Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, otherwise known as yesterday, probably. So you're like, oh, well, I remember 6 days from now? You won't. Write yourself a note. You're old now. If you remember Hanson, you're old enough that you have to write yourself a note. Bop. Anyway, Draco, we did it. We did a podcast.
I have another bonus pick of the week.
Get the out of here.
Bonus pick of the week, DJ. Let's hear it.
I may or may not be only be doing this.
Do you know how long I've been holding in a dump?
I want to hear the bonus pick of the week. Let's go.
So I think I picked this card a few years ago before it spiked the first time, but I continue to love Compost and think it is arguably more powerful than Carpet of Flowers in certain situations. Compost is a green enchantment that says whenever a black card is put into one of your opponent's graveyards, you draw a card. This is obviously very powerful with the newest Sultai Enchantress Commander. If you expect other people to also do Enchantress Commander things, black is going to be played at least somewhere in the table, assuming people are playing at a reasonable power level. And this is just a mono green enchantment from Urza's. What set symbol is that, Corbin? I can't tell.
I gotta look just a second.
It's
that's
7th edition. It's a 7. What's so hard to understand about a 7?
Bro, that's Urza's science lab.
Urza's Beaker? I think it's Urza's Beaker.
It's an Erlenmeyer flask.
It's Urza's Beaker.
Jason,
It's an Erlenmeyer flask!
Jason, did I Erlenmeyer ask?
You're going to get Erlenmeyer slapped.
Oh, man. And on that note, everybody, thank you so much for joining us here at Brainstorm Brewery. As always, we'll see you next week.
That didn't feel like an episode.
That felt like exactly one episode, including the part where Corbin's technology failed.